Now, most of us know about Enoch, right? He's mentioned briefly in the book of Genesis. And there are texts that are attributed to him, parts of which we have in the Dead Sea Scrolls. We have Aramaic texts of Enoch, first Enoch, parts of it. Like this. I'll show you, this is from the Leon Levy Digital Dead Sea Scrolls Library as well. 4Q201 and 4Q202. Here are some images here. Give you an idea of what we have. Try to get a little bigger for you there. As you can see, some of it can be made out. It's just a question of, which text and then under what lighting you use. And here's an example. Let me try to get a good section of text. Here's a good one. So as you can see, once again, you can have, this is an Aramaic text of first Enoch. And as we know, the letter of Jude, part of the New Testament, quotes from the book of first Enoch. So there are parts of the book of Enoch, and maybe even books of Enoch, although the book of first Enoch is the best attested text historically, that are in some way reliable in terms of showing us the beliefs for sure of what the beliefs these people had at the time, and that they received from those earlier, and that may be attributed all the way back to Enoch before the flood, carried through with people like Noah in the ark, and then preserved from their migration from eastern Anatolia down through Sumer into Egypt, and then from there by Moses. And that's why our texts are so consistent. That's why our records are so detailed and great, really, when it comes to most of the important things, including the events like the flood, including places like the Tower of Babel or Sodom and Gomorrah. These are places you can identify today, and even particular features like those described in the Bible. So Enoch, what does it say? Well, let me just share a part of it with you that will relate to our discussion of Michael. And I'll put these references in the bottom. But for now, I'll be reading from Volume 1 of the same edition that I referenced earlier by Martinez and Tigchilar. This will be from page 407 of Volume 1. And I'm going to be reading a section of what's known as 4Q201. And as with some of the other materials, and you can see here, this is why I'm showing you these texts, not only to give you an idea of what we have, but you can see we have a good portion of this line, but then we're missing part. Now, there are other fragments, so this isn't like the only piece, but parts are missing for sure. So that's why when you get some editions like this one, and when I read it, I try to be careful. You got to note, okay, what's really a part of our text, and what are they filling in? Because they will at times fill in some of these gaps or attempt reconstructions that, while they may be by competent people, they're not always, what's really there. So we have to make sure I'm trying to use what's really there, or at least if a part of the word is there, okay, then we know it's that word. That's enough. Unless it's a disputed part that's missing. My point is that I'm trying to make sure that everything I'm conveying to you about these texts involving Michael, the understanding of Psalm 82 and the Melchizedek text, and beliefs associated with these gods that are based on the most reliable information, not conjecture, not reconstructions of text. Okay, so with that in mind, this preserves a part of first Enoch. And I'm going to read just a few parts. So in the section I'm reading from page 407, that's based on the text we have of first Enoch, like I'm showing you right here, it refers to, it talks about the things that you kind of see briefly discussed in Genesis, like the different humans that became involved with the different tools, like Tubal-Cain, other sons of Adam that eventually became the ones involved with different developments. So here it associates them with different spirits. And again, part of the text is missing, like you're seeing in the screen here. But basically, it talks about how it refers to some of these different beings, and I'll try to read just what's actually based on our text, not reconstructed material. But a lot of it is reconstructed, so I'm going to be looking more at this for just a second while I read it, because I want to make sure I can point out to you what's based on what we have, not just a bracketed addition, unless it's part of at least a reliable word. So I'm going to give me a second to just share this with you, the parts I want you to know about. You can read the rest on your own. But in terms of what we have in the Dead Sea Scrolls and reliable texts that are even quoted by New Testament writers like Jude, like from 1st Enoch, well, here's what they were saying about beings like Michael. So it said Michael, Sariel, and then part of the word for Gabriel is there, and then part of it's missing, and then a lot of it's missing there, and then it refers to sons of the earth, how it looks like their cries going up to the gates of heaven, and then the holy ones seem to respond to their cry. I'm only going to give you some idea of what is actually based on the text. And if you read it, you'll see why. Because a lot of it's reconstructed. But from what's not reconstructed, what the fragments that are there, that's what I'm giving you, at least a summary view. So I'm reading from page 407, 4Q201. I may be going into a part of 4Q202 in a moment. And then it gets to a part we have. Okay, so then it says, Michael, and parts missing, and then it seems to indicate Michael starts speaking, saying, "Our great Lord, Lord of the world," and then it's broken here a little bit. Okay, and then now I'm jumping into column 4 from column 3, same page though, 407. It's still very broken up, refers to the Watchers. Very clear reference to the Watchers here. In a war. It clearly involves them in a war. And then it says, okay, now here's a clear part of the text that we have. And to Michael, the Lord said, "Go, Michael." Or excuse me, we don't have that. Let me take that back. Because it didn't have the bracket at the end of it. It was on another part of an earlier part of a text. I missed it. So I want to make sure that you don't associate that with actual. That's why I had to go so slow. You'll see if you read this. And then the way they do it. Because it's so fragmented, like right here. We have identifiable text. But we also have a lot of this stuff. So that's why I'm trying to just give you. But my point is, and what I really want to convey is, Enoch, the first book of Enoch, is clearly referencing Michael. So in column 3, line 7, clear reference to Michael. Part of Gabriel is referenced. Looks like another heavenly being, Sariel. And remember, biblically there's only one archangel named as an archangel, Michael. Now Jesus is also called the Archangel. So they're either the same or they're two different ones. And that's what we're kind of talking about right now. But that doesn't mean there can't be other archangels, and Michael still be unique in the sense that he has control over Israel. He's still God's firstborn. But that doesn't mean there can't be other angels who also command other angels. It's just that biblically, Michael and Jesus are the only two. But this text here involving a biblical figure, support of which we have in the letter of Jude, he validates this text to some degree, the book of 1st Enoch, and in the Dead Sea Scroll, Aramaic fragments that we have, like what I'm showing you, it refers to Michael clearly. So in previous shows, we've talked about how Michael was disputing with the devil over Moses' body, according to the assumption of Moses in Jude, that's quoted in Jude. That would put him, back to the point of the Exodus, basically, or right after the Exodus. And so here in the text of 1st Enoch, and as supported by the Dead Sea Scrolls, we have Michael all the way back to the pre-flood times, involved with Gabriel and other angels and those who were in the earth. Because now here's the rest of the account that I'm going to read to you. Part of this I might read just to give you a little understanding of what's going on, but it's very fragmented, as you can see here. I'll point out specific things. Let me read this part to you. So it says, now a lot of this is reconstructed, But this is the sense of the text that Enoch is talking about in referring to Michael. And to Gabriel the Lord said, "Go to the bastards and the sons of whoring and exterminate the sons of the watchers from among the sons of men, and send them in a war of attrition, for there will not be long days for them. Absolutely no request in their favor will be granted to their fathers, for they hope to live an everlasting life, or that each one of them will live 500 years. And to Michael the Lord said, Go, Michael, and tell Shemi-Hazah and all his friends who associated with women." So Shemi-Hazah was one of the, if not the lead angel involved with others, according to this text, in getting together with the daughters of humans, kind of like Genesis 6 seems to indicate. He says, "Go tell Shemi-Hazah and all his friends who associated with women to be defiled by them and their uncleanness, that their sons will expire, and they will see the extermination of their loved ones, chain up for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth until the great day of their judgment." And then it goes on, a lot of fragmentation here. But as you can see, in these texts of Enoch, we have Michael being directed by God. Although a lot of that part is reconstructed, but the context seems to indicate that, at least according to this text, in the parts we have. And we certainly have Michael referenced several times